Okay guys, today we're going to talk about line plots, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday on the problems that we did together, but there is a little more that we need to know about them that we did not talk about yesterday. So to start off with, number 1 says, one tool to help display data is a line plot. A line plot can also be called a dot plot. A line plot uses a number line to show the number of times each value in a data set occurs. Number 4 says, line plots show the spread of the distribution of a data set. Number 5 says, remember, when making a number line, you have to use a consistent interval. And all that means is you have to have the same number of spaces between each thing that you plot. So like if we look at this number line down here, each section is 1 apart. If you do them 5 apart, they all have to be 5 apart. So the interval, or the space between them, always has to be the same. So if we look at number 6, we're going to look at the cluster, the peak, and the gap. Now, you probably have no clue what any of these 3 things mean, so we're going to talk about that together. Okay? So the peak, all that is the tallest part, just like the peak of a mountain. So our peak would be right here. Okay? Then our cluster would be where all the items seem to all be. So where are they all clustering together? And most of the time you can look at it and tell. And it looks like everything is right in here. So this would be the cluster, where everything is grouping together. Okay? And then this section right here, from 4 to 7, this would be our gap. Okay? And this is our gap because we have someone that chose 0, nobody chose 1, but then we had people choose 2, 3, and 4, but then there were 2 numbers that no one chose. Okay, and then we pick back up with 7 and 8. So this would be considered our gap area. Okay, our cluster is where everything groups together, and the peak is the highest part. Okay, so to kind of recap, when we get a set of data, we can find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. Okay, we've already talked about this in past lessons, so this should all be review. But when looking at a dot plot, you may not know exactly how to pull this out, or you may not know the little tricks that I can show you so that you can easily look at this, analyze it, and figure out what the mean, median, mode, and range are. Okay, for the mean is what it is. You have to take the values, add them together, and divide by how many values you have. So no really trick there. But for the median, you can count the x's. And we did that yesterday, if you remember, on some of the dot plots that we've seen in those questions. For the mode will always be the peak. And if you think about it, mode is what occurs the most. So if you have a peak, that means you have that item being chosen more times than anything else. And it's going to show, it's going to stick out that it's the tallest item in your set of data. Okay? And then the range, all you do is take the greatest value minus the lowest value. That's pretty straightforward. So you would do 8 minus 0, which would give you a range of 8. Okay? Nothing strange there. So, let's go back to mean and let's add it all together. So we have 1 0 plus, there's no 1s, there's 1, 2, 3 2s. So 1, 2, 3. There's 2 3s, 1, 2. There are 2 4s, 1, 2. There are 2 7s. And there's 1 8. And if we put this in our calculator and add it up, we should get a total of 42. Now, to figure out what we should divide by, we have to know how many numbers we have in our data set. So all you have to do is count the x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we want to divide 42 by 11 to give us a mean of 3.82. So if you put 42 divided by 11 in your calculator, you should get a mean of 3.82. Okay? So our mean is 3.82. Our median, we can count off the x's. Okay? So we can say a low for a high, 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 a low for a high. The x left is at 3, so our median should be 3. Okay? Our mode is the peak, and we identified 2 as our peak. So 2 occurs more times than any other number. And then we decided that our range was 8, because we said 8 minus 0 is 8. And that's really all there is to it. Okay, so a line plot really just lays the data out in a different way so that you can find the 4 things we've learned how to find from a set of data. So now the next thing that we need to talk about is how to make a line plot. Okay, so step 1 is going to be to draw a number line. So if you're given data and you need to make a line plot, you're going to have to first draw a number line. Step 2, you're going to have to label the number line. Step 3, place a dot or an X to represent each value over the corresponding number. So make your number line, label your number line, and then place a dot or an X for how many times that number appears in the data. Okay? So if we were asked, like we are in number 8, to create a line plot using the table below, they give us our number line, but if they didn't, you would want to create this number line. And if you look at the data, you know it's got to have the smallest value of 0, and the greatest value that I see here is 6. So it's at least got to go from 0 to 6. They went to 8, which is fine, but it at least has to go from 0 to 6. Okay? So, how many zeros do we see? Because that's what we want to start with. I see 1, 2. So I'm going to put 2 dots above 0. Okay? Now, ones. How many ones do I see? 1, 2. So I need to put 2 dots above 1. How many 2's do I see? I see 1, 2, 3. So I need to put 3 dots above 2. How many 3's do I see? I see 1, 2, 3. So I need to put 3 dots above 3. How many 4's do I see? I see 1. So I need to put 1 dot. Do we see any 5's? If the answer is no, then you just roll on. Don't put anything above 5 because there are no 5's. There's no one who chose a number of siblings of 5. Okay? And then the last one is 6, and there's 1 6. Okay? And if you noticed, as I plotted them on the number line, I marked them off. You always, always, always want to do that. That way you know you don't miss any of the data values. Okay? So now we just need to find our mean, median, mode, and range. Okay? So first let's start with the peak. And if you notice, the peak is with 2 numbers. So both 2 and 3 contain 3 dots. So can we have a mode of more than one number? If you answered yes, you are absolutely correct. So this would be our mode, or peak, and I'll write that in parentheses, okay? So for our mode, we would put 2 and 3, okay? For our range, if you remember, we need to find the biggest number and the smallest number. So this would be our high, and this would be our low. So we would want to say 6 minus 0, which gives us a range of 6. Okay? If we wanted to find our median, we would need to cross out our dots and figure out where the middle is. So I would do a low for a high, 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 low, high, and now we're down to 2. Okay, so I'll cross them off in pairs. So a pair, a pair, pair, a pair, pair, a pair, pair, a pair, pair, a pair. So now we're left with 2 in the middle. And if we count our data values, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it should make sense that we have 2 medians, because with an even number of numbers, we should get 2 medians, 2 numbers in the middle. So if they're both at 2, if you say 2 plus 2, you get 4, and if you divide by 2, that equals 2. Okay, so our median is 2. And last but not least, we want to find our mean. And if we're trying to find our mean, we want to add together 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, and when you add that together, you should get a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay, and if we divide 27 by 2, we should get a mean of 18.5. Okay, so that's really all there is to it.